So actually
and no more.
deployment is one of the tasks. So it is
Okay.
very important. But apart from the
Yeah.
deployment, we have too many too many activities for server administration. Okay. So I'm recording the session. So you will get this recording end of the day after completing the session. Every day you will get recording sessions. So you can go through that and you can practice in your local system. I mean your PC.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So we will start with Weblogic. So in demo class, I'll tell you some basic concepts what is server. So what is the meaning of server? Okay.
Okay.
And after that we will go with web servers because web server is very important. So we used to access the application through browser. So whenever you trying to access the application through browser, there should be a application, I mean web server. Okay, so we will talk about web servers also. Then we will talk about application servers. So in that application servers, we will talk about WebLogic application server. Okay, and what are the advantages of application server and what is the market value for WebLogic application server. So we will talk about these things, and finally we will talk about the course content. And course content means what are the WebLogic topics, administration tasks, what we are going to learn. Okay, so in real time, what type of work will come. Okay, so these things we will discuss in the demo class. Okay, so once the WebLogic training sessions is completed, we will start SOVA also. SOVA is it is depends on WebLogic only. So it is deployed, it will be deployed on WebLogic. Without WebLogic we cannot run SOVA services. Okay, first we will talk about WebLogic. Once the administration is completed, then we can cover SOVA also. We will start SOVA and we will start the SOVA classes also further. Okay, and I'm starting from basics. Okay, so first I'll start from server. So what is the server? What is the meaning of server? Any idea?
Yeah. Basically, it's a physical box. So based on our need, we are going to deploy. For example, if we need Linux, to deploy the Linux, so it becomes a Linux server. So like that, right?
That is server. Okay, that is physical server. But here the server meaning is server provides services. Okay, server
Okay.
is nothing but it accept the requests from the client. Okay, so it take the request from the client and process the request, process or execute the request and provide output to the end users. Okay, so this is the job of
Okay.
server. So it take the request from the client and it execute the request or process the request and it provide output to the end users. So what I mean, who is client? Client means user who is using that mission or who using that website. Okay, so then
Okay.
that person we can call it as client. Okay, so server job is it takes the request from the client or user and process the request, that means execute the request, and it give a response or output to the end users according to that request. Okay, for example, take operating system. So as you told you, operating system is one of the server. So what operating system will do? Suppose this is my operating system, Windows 10. So here I am going to give a command like to create a new folder. So what I will do is I will right click, okay, and I'll go to new and I'll click on folder. Okay, so I'm giving the request to the server. Okay, so I'm giving the request to the operating system to create the folder. So then operating system will take my request and it will create the new folder in the desktop. Okay, so like this operating systems will work. Okay, so the same way operating system is one of the server. Okay, so and database also a one server. Okay, so for example we can take operating system and database systems. Okay, so any server you take, the general mechanism is take the request from the client and process the request and give response to the client. So that is meaning of
Okay.
server. Okay, and then coming to web servers. So what is meant by web server? So web server is nothing but it is used for to display the web content in the browser. Okay, so this is server means general, so general server. So but here web server means it is related to web request. Okay, web request means what are the request we used to give from the browser. Okay, so suppose here the meaning of web server is also a server which serves web pages in the internet browser. Okay, so which serves web
Okay.
pages in the internet browser, so that is called web server. Okay, so the web server uses HTTP and HTTPS protocols to take the request from the client and process the request and give response to the client. Okay, so the second point is web servers used HTTP or HTTPS
One,
protocols.
one second.
Yeah,
Rob, 1 second.
yeah.
Oh, continue, Rob.
Okay, so the first point is web server is also a server which serves web pages in the internet browser. So that means whatever the request you give in the browser, so that request goes to web servers only. Because the reason is web servers only the servers can handle web requests in the browser. Okay, that is the reason. Okay, and the web server uses HTTP and HTTPS protocols to take the request from the client, okay, and give response to the client. Okay, so it uses HTTP and HTTPS protocol to take the request from the client and process the request and it will give response to the client. So how web servers knows HTTP and HTTPS protocol? Okay, suppose, so how to access Google application? For example, if you are trying to search something in the internet, okay, so you open the browser and you will type first Google, right? So how we will access Google application? Okay, so what we will do is we will open browser, we will type google.com. Okay, we will type like this, but internally the browser will take HTTP, right,
Colon.
www
Yes.
dot google.com. So it will take the
Yes.
URL like this. So why it is taking? Because so you are requesting Google application in the browser. Okay, so that is web request. So that web request can handled by only web servers using HTTP or HTTPS. HTTP means normal web request. HTTP means hypertext transport layer. Okay, protocol. HTTPS means secure protocol. Okay,
Okay.
hypertext transfer protocol. Okay, so like this the web server will work. Okay, and third advantage of web server is it identify the request. It identify the request whichever comes from the client and respond accordingly. And respond accordingly. So how the web servers can identify the request? So it can identify two types of requests. First one is static request. Okay,
Okay.
static request, and the second one is dynamic request. Okay, so these two types of requests the web server can handle. Okay, static request means whenever user is trying to access some static content. Okay, so static content means some text pages, PDFs, images. Okay, so these are all nothing but static content. Okay, suppose if the user is trying to access static request, that means static content, that request we can call it as static request. Okay, so the web server first identifies whether the request is static or not. Okay, if it is static, the web server will give response to the client. That means so whatever the page, whatever the whatever the text page, whatever the PDF page or image the user is trying to access, he can see in the browser. Okay, and dynamic
How it
request means, sorry,
how it identifies whether it is static or not?
that is the functionality of web server. So the by default
Okay.
it identifies. So web servers are developed like that. Okay, example PDF, images and text documents.
Okay.
Okay, and coming to dynamic request, dynamic means which we can change the pages one page to another page. Okay, example, we can change the web pages browser. So that means normal web pages like your Gmail, your Facebook, or your IRCTC, LIC, Book My Show, whatever, Make My Trip. So whatever the website, we can call it as web request. So we can call it as web pages, and we can call it as web request. We can navigate one page to another page. We can go anywhere. But in static request, we cannot go anywhere. So if you open PDF, just read the PDF and close. So from that PDF, we cannot go, we cannot navigate any other web pages. Okay, and images also. Just see the images and close the image or download the image. That's it. And text documents also. But in dynamic requests, we can change one page to another page as per our requirement. Okay, so this is handled by web servers only. Okay, and the next feature is display the status codes for the client request. Okay, display the status codes for the client request. Sometimes not only many see, whenever we are trying to access any application in the browser from internet, sometimes we used to get errors in the browser, right? Sometimes we used to get 404, right? Sometimes 500. So have
Yeah.
you observed any time these type of errors in the browser?
Yeah, I have observed in my
Yeah,
office.
page cannot be displayed. Okay, and 503, 403. Okay, so these type of errors we used to see in the browser. Okay, so that means, so user is trying to access something, but browser displaying these type of errors, end user doesn't know from where these errors are coming. So these errors are coming from web server only. Okay, so here 404 means file not found exception.
Okay.
Okay, and 500 means internal server error. Okay, page cannot be displayed direct page, and this is bad gateway, unauthorized. Okay, unauthorized user. So these type of errors we used to get in the browser, but end user doesn't know. He will think about your internet settings, he will change the internet settings, or he will check internet connection, something like that. But it is not a problem with internet, so it is displaying by the web server based upon client request. Okay, if the client is trying to access some application, if the application is not available, if the page is not available, it will display 404 error. Okay, suppose if the page is available, if the web page is available or application is available, but the server is not responding, at the time he will see 500 error. Okay, and page cannot be found, that means application itself not available. Okay, and 503 means bad gateway, he is trying to access application from unused website and unused IP addresses. Okay, and next one, unauthorized, he is not authorized person to access that application. So like this, one moment.
Yeah.
Like this, the web server will display the status codes. Okay, and the final one is deployments. So deployments you know very well. So what is meant by deployment?
Yeah. So after development part is completed, we are going to install that
Yes,
application in the
correct.
server.
Yes,
So
installation of code. Okay, installation of code
yeah,
in web server. So that is nothing but deployments. Okay, so here which type of applications we can deploy in web servers, that is we have to know. So what are the applications we have and which type of applications we have to know. Okay, so before going to that, uh, we will see what are the web servers available Okay, what are the web servers available in the market? First one is Apache, and second one is IIS. Third one is Apache Tomcat. Fourth one is Sun One. Fifth one is iPlanet. Okay, and sixth one is OHS. Seventh one is IHS. Okay, so like this we have different web servers in the market. Okay, so do you have web servers in your environment?
Yeah, Apache.
Oh, okay. So Apache will do these kind of jobs. Okay. So Apache will
Okay.
do these kind of jobs. That's why we use web servers. Okay. So in deployment part, so Apache is freeware. We can download from internet. IIS means Internet Information Service. Internet Information Service. This is Microsoft product. Okay, and Apache Tomcat, this is also a freeware. Sun One, this is Oracle product. iPlanet, this is also Oracle product. OHS means Oracle HTTP server. Okay, this is from Oracle. And IHS, IBM HTTP server, this is from IBM. Okay, so these types of web servers we have. Okay, and coming to deployments, so which type of applications we can deploy in web servers? Okay, so here J2EE Java Platform 2 Enterprise Edition. Okay, so Java providing different types of applications. First one is .war files. Okay, war file means web applications. Web applications. The web application contains servlet code, JSP code, and some HTML. Okay, and the second file is jar file. Jar means Java application. In this we have Java applications or EJB applications. So in this EJB we have three types of EJBs: session EJB, entity EJB, and message driven bean EJB. Okay, so these type of applications we can call it as Java applications. Okay, and third one is .ar file. So that means enterprise archive file. Enterprise archive file, it is the combination of .var and .jar. Okay, so only these type of applications we have in Java. Okay, so first one is web applications. Web application means to develop web pages. Okay, so these web applications are used for to develop web applications, web pages. Okay, and it is used for to develop non-business applications. Non-business applications means example school or university. university websites. Okay, so here there is no business, only this is for only for information, so that there is no business logic, we are not doing any business in this web applications. Okay, and coming to EasyB, EasyB for to develop business logic, develop business business logics. Okay, example IRCTC. Okay, and banks, all banks are business applications. LIC, make my trip, anything. Okay, so these are all business applications. We use jar code, I mean session EJB code. We use EJB code for business. Servlet JSP, these for HTML for non-business code. Okay, and ER file means this is the combination of these two. Okay, so if you combine these two you will get ER file for deployment purpose. Okay, so
Okay.
here this is the application structure. Here in web servers, which type of applications we can deploy? Any idea?
In web server,
Yes,
I think where,
yes, only where. Okay,
yeah,
only war files we can deploy, because web server is single server, right? So web
yeah,
server is single server and it contains web container. Okay, so take any web server, Apache, OHS, IHS, iPlanet, whatever web server. So web server is single server. Okay, and it contains only web container. Okay, so that's the reason we will deploy only web applications. Okay, that is the first reason. And the second reason is we cannot create multiple web servers. That means suppose web server is single, so using that single server we cannot create multiple servers. So that is another reason. Okay, and the third reason is web servers doesn't have EJB container. EJB container means business logic executable container. Okay, so these three are the drawbacks for the web server. Okay, so that's why we don't deploy business code. Okay, we don't deploy business code. These two applications we cannot deploy in web server. The drawbacks is web server is single server. It cannot handle business code, because business applications used to get a lot of requests, so the server cannot handle, the server doesn't have capability. Okay, because that is single, and we cannot create multiple servers. That is another drawback. Third drawback is it contains only web container, there is no EJB container. Okay, so that is third drawback. Okay, so that's why we will deploy only war files. Okay, and so for deployment of these two files, I need a special server. So that special server is nothing but application server, application servers. Okay, so we have some advantages of this application servers. Okay, first advantage is we can deploy all type of Java applications. That is first advantage. Second one is after deployment the application will be execute in this application server. Okay, we can create multiple servers, multi-server capability. That means multiple servers we can create, and multi application deployable. Okay, robust security, load balancing, failover or high availability, session management. Okay, so these type of advantages we have under application server. So these features we don't have in web server. Okay, so first feature is we can deploy all type of Java applications. Second one is after deployment it will execute, the deployment file will be executed in the application server. And multi-server capability, that means we can create multiple servers as per our requirement, and we can group it as cluster. Okay, so you know the cluster, right? So we
Yeah.
can, yep, we can create multiple application servers as per our requirement. We can group it as group like as cluster. So that is possible under application server. And multi application deployable, that means in one server we can deploy number of applications. Okay, in one server, one application server can handle multiple applications. Okay, and the next one is robust security, that means security SSL. So after deployment, so we used to provide security for deployed applications, so for secure authentication. Okay, and load balance, load balancing is available in the server level, so it balance the load which are comes from the client. And next one is failover or high availability, that means if any of server fail in the environment, another server take the responsibility to handle the request. Okay, and session management, if any session is expire, another server having the same session, the server will respond to the client request. So like this we have multiple advantages of application servers. Okay, clear?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so now we have different application servers in the market. First one is Weblogic, WebSphere, JBoss, and Apache Tomcat, Bistak. Okay, so these type of application servers we have in the market. To deploy, Bistak is not required. This is not a Java server. Okay, and these four are the
Is there any server called Oracle application server?
Oracle application server is nothing but WebLogic server only. So they renamed as WebLogic server. So earlier, when in the earlier stages, so when they developed WebLogic, so they called Oracle application server. Okay, so after that they renamed like WebLogic application server. Okay,
Okay.
and this is from Oracle, and the latest version is 12c. And WebSphere, this is from IBM, Latest version is 8.5. JBoss. This is from Red Hat. Latest version is 7, and Apache Tomcat is freeware. So there is no versions for this. Freeware we can download from internet. There is no license we can utilize. Okay. So these four are application servers for deploying Java applications. Clear?
Yeah.
So in this we are going to learn Oracle Weblogic Server 12c. So in which version you are using in your environment, 12c or 11g?
11G. 10360.
Sorry?
11G. 10360.
Okay, 11g. So you want
Yeah.
11g or 12c?
Oh, is there any big difference?
There is no much difference. Both are same.
Okay.
Some features are added, but 12c is, I mean, 90% of the companies using 11g only. 12c still the people trying to upgrade to 12c. So if you want, we
Okay.
can go with the 12c. So otherwise, if you need support on 11g, so we will continue on 11g also.
Okay.
But
If it is
12c is
possible, while discussing in policy, so please let me know what is the big differences when the topic wise, if it is
okay,
possible.
okay, okay. So we will discuss that. That is okay.
Okay.
Okay, we will go with
Okay.
the 12c. This is latest version, and SOA, Oracle SOA also, SOA suite also 12c only. 12c is the
Okay.
latest version. Okay, and 11g
Okay.
also there. 11g is older one, and 12c is latest one. Okay, so if you learn 12c, then you can go with SOA 12c. Okay, so if
Okay.
you go with 11g, we have to learn SOA also 11g only. So we cannot deploy SOA 11g in 12c WebLogic. Okay, so there may be a difference and a version compatibility. Okay, so 12c means if you use WebLogic 12c, you should install 12c SOA. If you are using 11g WebLogic, then we have to go with Oracle SOA 11g only. Okay,
Okay.
so clear, right? What is the advantage of application server and web server and server? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Now we will see
So which one
what
is
are the
better? Which one is
administration tasks we have to do in real time. Okay,
okay?
and course content also what we are going to discuss in the class. So this is the course content and administration tasks. Okay, complete administration tasks. Here we can see. Okay, so first we will talk about distributed architecture and J2EE technologies and web and WebLogic server terms. That means first we will see architecture. So WebLogic server architecture we will see first. Okay, and distributed architecture means how the Java is distributed. Okay, so Java is distributed in three ways: web applications, enterprise applications, and Java applications. And J2EE technologies, we will talk about some Java basics. So here we don't write any Java code. As you know, you already administrator. We don't write any code, but here we will
Yeah.
learn some Java terminology and definitions. okay, for knowledge purpose, but we don't write any code here. Okay, and the third one is web and WebLogic server terms. So web means we will talk about web application, I mean web servers again, and WebLogic terms. So WebLogic terms means what is domain, okay, what is server, how many servers we have, admin server and manage server and cluster, node manager, these terms we will discuss. Okay,
Okay.
and we will go with setup. In setup we will talk about WebLogic server architecture, okay, and following that installation of WebLogic product, how to install WebLogic in Linux machine, okay, or Windows machine. Okay, so we will install in three ways. First one is GUI, second one is command line, third one is silent. So three types of installations we will see in the class. Okay, so GUI
Okay.
means graphical user interface, nothing but graphical applets we will see. So it's like a normal software installation like VLC media player. And command line means using command prompt. Okay, and silent installation we use some XML file. Okay, so these three modes we will see. Okay, and fourth one is installation verification. So whether the installation is success or not, we will verify after installation. Okay, and follow that we will talk about directory structure. Directory structure means after installation we will see some folders and files about WebLogic, and we will talk about each and every file and each and every directory advantages and importance. Okay,
Okay.
so that is installation part. So once the installation is completed, we will go with configuration. Configuring a WebLogic server environment, nothing but configuring the domains, because along with installation we will not get any servers. Okay, by default no servers will be created, so only product files will be created. Product files means, I will tell you one example. Suppose if you install MS Office in your laptop, okay, so do you
Okay.
get Word documents by default? No, right?
MS Word.
Suppose if you install MS Office in your laptop, okay,
Okay.
so along with installation, do we get any Word documents, Microsoft Word documents? No,
You
right?
mean developed documents or empty?
Whatever. We don't get any documents, right? So we
Yeah.
have to create the documents. Okay.
Yes.
So like that, along with installation, we will not get any servers. So we have to configure the domains. Okay. So in configuring WebLogic server environment, we will talk about configuring domains on GUI and command line. So we have two ways. So GUI and command line to creating the domains. Okay. And we have two types of domains. I mean, two ways we can create any domain. Okay, GUI mode and
Okay.
command line mode. Okay, and we have two types of domains. First one is development mode domain, and we will talk about advantages, and production mode domain and advantages. Okay, development mode domain for developers, production mode domain for administrators. Okay, and after that we will talk about difference between development mode and production mode domains. Okay, and starting admin servers and admin console. So how to start admin server, how many ways. Okay, so how the server is starting, what is the server life cycle. So everything we will discuss under starting admin server and admin console. Okay, and we will talk about port numbers. What is meant by port, why we are using port numbers for server, what is the advantage. Okay, and what is host name and what is URL. So these things we will discuss after that. Okay, and
Okay.
that is domain creation and admin server. So after that we will talk about managed server, how to create managed servers, okay, and stopping, starting, restarting managed servers, okay, and console administration properties and boot properties. So these things we will talk, okay. So after that, managing and monitoring Weblogic server environment. That means remote administration. That means how to control the servers which are running in remote mission. Suppose that the servers are running in remote mission. Suppose your data center, your Weblogic servers located in US or Singapore or Bangkok. So how to connect the servers and how to manage the servers from here, from the India. Okay, and node
Okay.
manager and configuration, how to configure the node manager. I think you have seen node manager concept in your project, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that is already configured environment, but you know, you doesn't know how they have configured. In our class we will see how to configure node manager and how to start the manage servers from the console. Okay, so once the node manager is configured, we will start and stop managed servers from administration console itself. So we will see this one, okay, node manager configuration we will see, okay, and how to stop and start node manager and node manager properties we will see, and stop, start, manage servers using admin console, okay, and network channels. So these things we will discuss, okay. So after that, understanding JNDI, that means, so what is JNDI? So what is the advantage of the JNDI in WebLogic? Okay, and startup and shutdown classes. We will discuss these two things. Okay, so after that, we will go with J2EE application structure. That means what are the applications we have in Java. Okay, so we have web applications, we have EJB applications, we have enterprise applications, we have HTMLs, servlets, Java's JSP details, and deployment descriptors. Okay, so we will talk about complete application structure. Okay, and we will go with the deployments. So we have four types of deployments. Okay, four types of deployment. That means single war file or single ER file we can deploy in four ways. Okay, first one is auto deploy. Okay, so this auto deploy is only possible in development mode environment. It is not applicable to production. Okay, only development mode, only development mode domains can have this auto deploy folder enabled. Okay, and the second one is console deploy. That means administration console, browse the ER file or war file from the local machine and do the deployment. Okay, and third one is command line deployment. So how to deploy from the command line. Okay, and we will talk about script also. We will write a sample script, I mean not a sample, we will deploy deployment script and we will run the scripts. Okay, so these four ways we can deploy any application. We will see all these four. Okay, and we will see how to stop and how to start and how to undeploy the applications also in the deployments topic. Okay, once it is completed, deployment modes. So we have three types of modes. First one is stage mode, second one is no stage, and third one is external stage. Okay, we will talk about these three things. After that we will go with JDBC configuration. Okay, so I think you have seen data source in WebLogic console.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that data
Yeah.
source option is for setting up JDBC. Okay, so how to set up database connectivity, how we can, how the WebLogic server is going to connect with the database server for the authentication. Okay, In this topic, we will talk about overview of JDBC and application request flow. Okay, so how the application is, connecting to DB. Okay, so without DB connection, we cannot log in other applications. Okay, we will talk about that. And JDBC drivers and connection pool, data integration with database integration with Weblogic and test the connection. That means how to integrate database server and WebLogic server, and how to create a data source, how to test the data source. So these things we will talk in JDBC concept. Okay. After that, JMS, Java Messaging Service. So this is for messaging purpose. Okay, so Java provides messaging service applications also. So two applications will communicate with each other in the internet. Okay, so how JMS application is working. Okay, suppose take an example, Flipkart. Okay, Flipkart is one online purchase website. Okay, and bank is another application. So whenever you are trying to purchase any product in Flipkart, okay, so what we do is we will log in into the Flipkart and we will choose the product whatever you want, shoes, cloth, or electronics, TV, something, whatever, and we will go with the payment. So at the time of payment, we have to choose the payment mode, either credit card, debit card, online banking, whatever. Okay, so we have to choose there and we will click on submit. It will go to the bank account. Okay, so how these two applications are communicating, bank application and Flipkart application. So how these two applications are communicating means there is a JMS. Okay, so JMS is messaging service. So the Flipkart applications will send a message to bank application for the payment, so that the application will go to bank, then we can do the payment and we will check out the product. Okay, so in this JMS we will talk about overview of JMS and WebLogic server, JMS administration, and configuring queues and topics, publishers and subscribers, configuring persistent messaging, monitoring JMS and WL servers. Okay. After that, we will talk about managing password, how to manage the password. That means WebLogic console maintain some username and password for login, right?
Yes. Yes.
So if you forget the password, what we will do? Suppose if you delete the password file, I think in your project you are maintaining some password sheet, username and password sheet. Suppose if you forget the password or if you lost the password, how we can do? Okay, so this how to change the password. Okay, so in this manage password we will see what is the password and how to change the password. Okay, and password decoding means suppose if you forget the password, how to decode, how to retrieve the existing password. Okay, and the third one is recovering password. That means how to replace the password. So these three things we will see under password category. Okay, and we will talk about SSL, securing WebLogic server resource and applications. So in this we will talk about WebLogic server security architecture. Okay, and we will create users and groups and we will assign permissions to the users and groups. Okay, and how to protect the applications, so after deployment, and protecting communications, protecting against attacks. So these things we will discuss. So after that we will go with clusters. So overview of cluster. So what is the cluster architecture, types of clusters, and cluster communication. Okay, so how to create the cluster, how to add the servers into the cluster, and how many types of clusters we have, and how the managed servers are communicating with each other in the single cluster. So these things we will talk about. Okay, so after that, yeah, tell me, any doubt?
Sorry? No, no, no.
Okay,
Continue.
after that, managing cluster. That means deploying applications into the cluster and session management, troubleshooting a cluster, load balancing, high availability, and scalability. So these things we will see under managing cluster. Okay, and cluster EJB objects. That means EJB clustering capabilities. How the EJB applications are managing by cluster, and cluster session EJB, how the cluster members nothing but manage servers maintaining session information, and cluster entity EJB. So these things we will talk. Okay, and cluster services, clustering services, JNDI, JDBC transactions we will talk. Okay, and WLST, that means WebLogic scripting tool. So how to, I mean here we don't write any scripts. So if you are using any scripts in your environment, so those scripts are written by some developers. So WebLogic administrator never write scripts. Okay, don't bother about that. So we don't write scripts. We just run the scripts which are given by development team or scripting team. Okay, so WLST means WebLogic scripting tool. This is command line administration. Okay, so generally we do administration tasks from the administration console, and the same way we can do the administration from command line also. Okay, so suppose if you create the server in the console, suppose if you deploy this application in the console, JDBC configurations, monitoring, whatever the tasks we do in the administration console, same tasks we can do from command line also, so without GUI. So that is called WLST. So WLST, so this thing we don't use much, but we will talk about introduction to WLST and offline online modes and automation. Okay,
Okay.
and finally running Python scripts, how to run the scripts in WebLogic. Okay, introduction to the scripts and writing scripts using scripts. Okay, and 21st, performance monitoring and tuning, how to monitor WebLogic server health and how to create the reports, creating SMS and email alerts. Okay, I think in your project you are getting any alerts, email alerts for server health.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that is configured in some monitoring tools. Okay, so that is comes under
Yeah.
performance monitoring and tuning. So monitoring WebLogic server, creating reports, creating SMS and email alerts we will talk. Okay, and finally troubleshooting. So and troubleshooting part we will talk about server crash and causes, server hang and causes, CPU utilization and causes, thread dumps, thread dump, how to generate thread dumps and analysis, and how to generate heap dumps and analysis, and out of memory exception handling, log file details and rotation policy, and zip and purge logs, and log file analysis. So these things comes under troubleshooting part. So each and every
Okay.
task we will see in the class itself. Okay,
Okay.
clear?
Yeah.
So if you have any doubts you can ask me. So I will forward you this course content. Go through this. Okay.
Yeah.
So any doubts you can ask me now.
So to continue with the show,